எங்க ஆளுங்க எத்தனை பேர் இருக்கிறானுங்க? Ma'am, Malati ma'am. Good afternoon to one and all present here for this session. In this session, I would like to welcome the Professor Dr. G. Uma Madam from the Department of Electrical and Electronics, CEG, Anna University. I'm very happy and proud to say Madam is a teacher and professor for me. I'm the student of Madam. Very happy and proud to say. I'm very happy in reading Madam's profile. Madam has completed her BE in Electronics and Instrumentation Engineering in Annamalai University in the year 1989, and she has finished her ME in Control and Instrumentation in College of Engineering, Anna University in the year 1991, and Madam has finished her BE PhD in Power Electronics from the Faculty of Electrical Engineering in the year 2001. And Madam has been working in Anna University as a professor in the Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, College of Engineering, Anna University, since from 1992. And Madam has guided so many research scholars, PhD scholars, and more than 15 PhD students Madam have guided, and also guiding nearly 10 members currently. And Madam has published more journals in the more national, international journals in the reputed journals. More than 100 she has 100 Madam has published. And apart from this, Madam citation is about 1321 with Hench index of 20, I-10 index of about 37. Apart from all these things, I want to say or introduce Madam that Madam is more active personality which I have seen, more dynamic person. I know Madam right from 2005 and till now. When I try to meet Madam, I haven't seen her leaving, means seeing simply. So she always be equipped with any of the research activities, either with the students or she will be guiding the students in simulation or otherwise writing, checking the papers or anything. Madam is always busy. In spite of this busy schedule, Madam has accepted my application and came over here to present this valuable talk. I welcome Madam, please.
Thank you, Malati.
Thank you,
Malati. Thank you for the excellent introduction.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. First of all, let me thank dear participants. I wish to thank Dr. S. Malati for inviting me to this Atal program. I also wish to thank the college authorities for permitting her to invite me. With this small introduction, let me just go to my presentation. Malati, share avudungla?
Share agudhu, ma'am.
Okay. Shall I start?
Yes, ma'am, you can start, ma'am.
Okay. A very good afternoon to all the participants. Today I am going to talk about the power transfer and control schemes for a three-phase PWM ESC that has been employed in a hybrid microgrid. Now, the topic of the FDP program is about the green technologies or the role of power electronics in the green revolution, the role of power electronics towards green revolution. So when you talk about the different domains of the society, we have white revolution or milk revolution, green revolution in the case of if you produce more crops, like that. If you take air pollution, like different domains of revolution has taken place. The similar way, as an electrical engineer or from this domain, what we talk about a green energy or the green revolution is, we are going to connect many loads into the system. So whatever the loads, yes?
Ma'am, yes, you are audible, ma'am, but the screen is not being shared, ma'am.
Professor Uma, ma'am.
Yes?
Ma'am, screen is not shared, ma'am.
Okay, let me try. Share ஆயிருக்கு எனக்கு. It shows நான் ஷேரிங்ல தான் போனேன்.
மேம், ஷேர் கண்டென்ட் கிளிக் பண்ண பிறகு டெஸ்க்டாப் ஐகான் கிளிக் பண்ணீங்களா மேம்?
இது டீம்ஸ்ல தான் வரணும் நம்ம.
டீம்ஸ்ல தான் மேம்.
ஆமா, அது சைடுல வந்து நிறைய விண்டோஸ் காமிக்குது எனக்கு. நான் ஓபன் பண்ணி இருக்கிற விண்டோஸ் எல்லாம் காமிக்குது.
ஓகே மேம்.
மேம், ஆர் ஜஸ்ட் PowerPoint எங்களுக்கு மெயில் பண்ணிடுறீங்க மேம். we will share the content.
டெஃபினட்டாப்பா, உடனே அனுப்புறேன். உங்க மெயிலுக்கு அனுப்பிச்சிட்டுமா? நீங்க ஒரு இன்விடேஷன் அனுப்பிச்சிட்டீங்களா?
எஸ் மேம்.
மலத்தி அனுப்பிச்சிட்டேங்க.
ஓகே மேம், ஓகே மேம். Ma'am, I received the PPT, ma'am. Now I am sharing the PPT, ma'am.
Okay. மாலதி இப்ப கண்ட்ரோல் நீங்க தான் வச்சிருப்பீங்களா? எனக்கு கண்ட்ரோல் இருக்காதா?
இருக்காது மேம். அப்படின்னா நீங்க ஷேர் பண்ணணும் மேம்.
ஓகே, நான் ஒரு தடவை ட்ரை பண்றேன்.
ஓகே மேம். I will stop sharing, ma'am.
ஓகே.
Ma'am, now your screen is visible, ma'am.
Okay,
ma'am.
Okay.
It's visible, ma'am.
Let me find out. I will just put it in the desktop. Whether
Okay, ma'am. மேம் நீங்க இப்போ உங்க பிபிடி கிளிக் பண்ணீங்கனாலே ஓபன் ஆயிடும்.
அப்படியா? ஆனா அது இப்ப இதுல டெஸ்க்டாப்ல தான் பிபிடி வச்சிருந்தேன், அது காணோம். இப்ப 1 செகண்ட்.
மேம் இருக்கு மேம். the top mostல செகண்ட் ஒன் மேம்.
ஓகே.
டாப்ல செகண்ட் மேம்.
எனக்கு டக்குனு கண்டுபிடிச்சேன்.
ஓகே மேம்.
ஷேர் ஆகுதுங்களா அப்ப?
எஸ் மேம். எஸ் மேம்.
Ma'am, full screen, ma'am, please, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Today, I'm going to talk about the power transfer control schemes from both the solar and wind, and how the power electronic converter serves as an interface for extracting this power and transferring this power into the grid. So people invariably, whether you like it or not, we often encounter different terms like microgrid, DC grid, nano grid, hybrid grid, so many things. So out of which, let me just give an introduction about the microgrid. So microgrid is more and more, it's becoming popular due to the tremendous use of electrical power in domestic and industrial applications. Also, electric power systems are getting more and more stressed due to the increase in the power demand, obviously everyone knows, and limitation on power delivering capability of the grid, and the complications in building conventional transmission and distribution lines. So it's quite cost effective method. So this overloading of the transmission of the distribution lines often leads to blackouts. So in order to circumvent this, nowadays renewable energy sources are widely used to reduce the dependence on electricity generated using coal and other fossil fuels. Okay. Even though this electricity is generated from the different types of renewables, and power conditioning, the power generated from these renewables ought to be conditioned, ought to be they should have different, they will be of having a DC voltage or AC voltage or different frequencies, so many things. So in order to use the available power effectively, we have to condition the power. So for conditioning, the available power is processed using a power electronic converter. That's what. Okay, the process here is using a power electronic converter, the available power is processed and it is converted into the desired form. Okay, that's what I mentioned about the first statement. Developments of power electronic controllers along with the power electronic converters, along with its high performance controllers make it possible to integrate different types of renewable energy resources into the microgrid. So we can tap power from different sources, condition it and put it into the grid. So microgrid is if I say microgrid, the capacity of the microgrid is small compared to the existing conventional grid. That's what I mentioned here. In addition to advanced generation technologies, developing new architecture of advanced electrical distribution system is one of the more promising methods for local survivability. So we all know that as we start generating locally from the renewables, if we start generating locally, the end user become he may be the consumer as well as he can transfer power into the grid. So the end user originally he was a passive user. He used to take power from the grid. He was a passive. Now he becomes an active user. He generates and apart from his generation, he also supplies into the grid. So the distribution network is also becoming active in nature. The original distribution system, the conventional distribution system, which was a passive network, at the radial end of the distribution system, we will be consuming the power. The end user will be consuming the power. Now the scenario is slightly getting modified. So the distribution system is no longer passive, it becomes active. It means that the local user, apart from his own power generation, he also generates and feeds into the grid. Okay. So it is predicted that the distribution generation plays a vital role in electric power system, and the use of on-site power generation equipment will provide affordable power of high quality to the consumers. Okay, now as I was introducing in the beginning, a green energy, which means that now we are using electrical energy. So if I say electrical energy, the voltage and current, we predominantly as end users of this domain, we predominantly bother about the voltage and current. So if I say energy, so voltage into power into time. But if we talk about power depends upon the voltage and the current. Okay, voltage quality is dependent upon the network, is decided by the power provider, and current quality is decided by the end user. Whoever is going to use the power, is going to draw power from the utility, he is responsible, or the end user is responsible for the current quality. So put together, if we are going to draw current which is proportional to the voltage, which is linear to the voltage, proportional, or if I say the current waveform is going to follow the voltage waveform, we can say that the loads are green loads, or they are operating at a unity power factor or something like that. So if I talk about green energy in electrical engineering, particularly in the load side, particularly in the distribution end, the loads that are connected into the distribution system, any load starting from milliwatt to kilowatt loads that are connected in the distribution system, it is to be ensured that the current drawn by these loads will always be sinusoid, and the power factor at the utility, the power quality at the utility has to be maintained above 0.95. Okay, when we say that if you just maintain these things, then we can say that the loads, or whatever the equipment that is connected to the load, we can say it's the equipment is a green equipment, or a whatever we can say. So we can see certain advertisements stating that we can saying that it is a 5-star rated UPS, green UPS, like that. So the green, in the sense, the current drawn by the equipment is sinusoid. That's what in electrical engineering, the current drawn by the equipment is sinusoid, and it is almost close to the in phase with the supply voltage. So power factor will be closer to 1. So that is the meaning of this green equipment, green loads, or green UPS, or the green LEDs. So many, meaning which the load that is connected to the utility should draw a sinusoidal and should be approximately in phase with the supply voltage. So if that is the case, then from the utility perspective, seen from the utility side, the equipment is a green equipment. Okay. Now, coming to the plug and play feature of the DG units, for a non-radial system configuration with DG, with the distributed generation units, the power control complexity has substantially increased. So now from the, if you want to develop a microgrid, a green microgrid or a green domain, then the power we are going to tap from the renewables are to be conditioned and it should be transferred into the grid. So this is one end. We are going for AC microgrid on one end. On the other end, if you are going to tap for power from solar, directly it gives the electrical energy. If you take a solar system, solar PV, so it's a primary conversion itself is solar, sun's energy is directly converted into electrical energy. If we go to other domains, generators and all, wind energy is converted into electrical energy, then conditioned, then we are replacing. Whereas here the electrical energy, the solar PV, directly the sun's energy is converted into electrical energy. It's a primary conversion. Okay, if that is the case, instead of going for AC microgrids, we can also use DC microgrids. So we can develop appliances based on which can work on DC, so that the number of power converters needed for conversion becomes less. If you reduce the number of power converters, your efficiency of the system will get increased. That is one idea. So that's a last statement I have introduced. Electrical power transmitted through DC is more advantageous as it provides relatively higher efficiency compared to the AC systems. Also, there is no dependence on the reactive power. So in this work, I am going to explore about the necessity of the DC grids and the microgrids and the AC grids. I am going to connect an AC grid as well as a DC grid to render to the renewables. How power is conditioned using a power electronic converter. That is the core idea of this presentation. Okay. So here the aim of this connectivity, the renewables and the grid, is to allow bidirectional power transfer between AC and DC sites and to draw or inject power into the grid at unity power factor and to maintain the power balance between the AC grids and the DC grids. This is the idea. As all high power equipments derive electrical power from three-phase supply, incorporating an action of a three-phase power factor corrector, PFC, power factor correction unit, using a voltage source converter can contribute significantly in improving the overall power and in reducing the line pollution. So line pollution also we can say it is related to the green energy. Okay, this is a simple architecture. We have a utility grid, converter, inverter, and we have an AC grid. There we can connect two grids operating at different frequencies. And the other one, AC or AC microgrid, which feeds a standalone load. So the aim of here I am going to employ a three-phase voltage source converter. Three-phase voltage source converter. The aim of the advantages of this converter is it is possible to control the reactive power consumed or generated by the converter independently of the active power. It is very important. So the requirement of the reactive power will be met by the converter itself. We are not going to tap either from the renewables or from the grid. So reactive power requirement of the converter will be generated within the converter itself. And no risk of commutation failures in the converter. And ability to connect to weak AC networks or even dead networks. and faster response due to increased switching frequency and minimal environmental impact. Okay. These are the two domains I am going to talk. The first domain is instantaneous power-based current control scheme for VAR compensation in a hybrid AC-DC network. The core idea of the first idea, whatever the idea I am going to tell in the first presentation, first portion, the same thing I am going to incorporate in another application, which is going to be in the second part. The first presentation is instantaneous power-based current control scheme for VAR compensation in hybrid AC-DC networks. This is the schematic diagram of a hybrid network. Here on one end we have AC grid, we have the DC grid on the other end, and here to the DC grid many renewables are connected. A PV array via a DC-DC converter, a DC to AC converter which can feed to an AC load, or a battery, and a DC-DC converter, a fuel cell via a DC-DC converter. On the other end we have AC grid. Okay. First, initially, either you can establish a DC grid, The core idea is when the renewables are available, when the PV array or when the fuel cell, when the renewables are available or when the battery energy storage is available, you can feed the DC loads locally. You can feed the DC loads or the AC loads locally. When there is surplus generation, when the renewables are going to generate more than the load requirement, then the excess power can be transferred into the grid using this converter. The excess power is conditioned via this converter and it is transferred into the grid. This power transfer into the grid is happening at unity power factor. So that we are not going to draw any reactive power, we are not going to load the system. That's the idea. And suppose if the renewables are absent, if the PV array or if the renewables are absent, and if the loads require power, then the same converter can be operated as a rectifier, meaning which power can be taken from the AC grid, converted into DC, and you can feed the DC loads or the local AC loads. This is a core idea. And suppose if all of them are failing, or if, suppose if there is no PV array, battery also has drained fully, and if we are not going to generate via fuel cell, in that case, the bidirectional PWM BSC can be operated as a STATCOM. While transferring power itself, the bidirectional PWM BSC will do the power transfer as well as it will do the power factor correction on the source side. So this STATCOM and active power transfer. So if active power is available, the active power may be positive or negative. Positive in the sense, if you are going to draw, let us use a convention. Active power is positive, power flow from AC grid to the DC grid. Active power negative, power flow from DC grid into the AC grid. And if the power is zero, if there is no power transfer, then the bidirectional PWM BSC can work as a DSTATCOM. So the role of DSTATCOM is it will maintain the power factor at the AC grid. It's an idea. This is a simple idea I have taken. So initially, to understand the idea, I have lumped all these loads and I have modeled this as a rectifier. So all the loads that require power are lumped and modeled as a resistive load. So this is the mathematical model of the PWM voltage source converter. So the loads are lumped and modeled as a resistive load. Here VGA, VGB, VGC are the grid voltages, and this is a PWM BSC. So initially a short introduction about the PWM BSC. So this is a simple, anybody can learn about this, even the person need not be a power electronic engineer, person from any domain, electronics or anybody can work with this voltage source converter. Now, today's with the changing scenario, we are using power electronics starting from all the our mobile chargers. Again, if we go to an electric vehicle, electric chargers, so many appliances. Even if we go for an AC, many almost all the electrical gadgets, they use a power conditioner inside it. Okay, so the power conditioning is done by the power device. So invariably, irrespective of the domain, uh, anybody can learn about this. It's very simple only. So this is called the voltage source converter. We also have a dual of that current source converter. This is the feature of the voltage source converter is it allows unidirectional current, bidirectional current and unipolar voltage. The load side, it is possible in the output voltage polarity is fixed, but current direction you can vary. The load current, the source current you can allow bidirectional current flow through the devices. That is the idea. So that the converter can allow bidirectional current, forward current or reverse current. Bidirectional current flow can occur through the converter, and whereas output voltage polarity is fixed. Okay, unipolar voltage and bipolar current. You can also have another topology. With that also the same idea can be implemented. But this leads to why I have selected this voltage source converter is this is quite cost effective than the other topology. That's why this is preferred by many of the equipment manufacturers, or it is predominantly used in many of the drives, or many wide applications are there for this PWM-BSc. Okay, to understand the PWM-BSc, a simple idea is each leg. So it is this PWM-BSc is simply derived from a boost rectifier, boost converter. We all know about a DC-DC boost converter, where in the case of boost converter, input is DC, the output is a load. So here instead of DC, we are having an AC supply. So we have positive half cycle and negative half cycle for the AC supply. So accordingly, during the positive half cycle, one of the device will contact, and the other diode. If you take one leg of the inverter, I am talking about one leg. We have 3 phases and 3 legs. Considering one leg of the inverter, during the positive half cycle, the shunt device, this device and this diode will contact, and during the negative half cycle, the complementary devices will contact. So basically, since we are going to employ a 3-phase system, 3 such legs are connected. So essentially, it is derived from a DC-DC boost converter. So here each leg will operate independently. Okay, considering the modulation index of the devices as M1 and M2 and M3 for the different phases, we are just writing. Let us assume that VRA, VRB and VRC are the pole voltages of the independent legs. Therefore, writing KVL for this, it is VGA equal to dig by dt plus R into IG plus M into VDC. This VRA is nothing but the reflected voltage when the upper device is closed. Either when the upper device or the diode conducts, this plus voltage is as capacitor voltage will come here. Therefore, this is nothing but the based upon the duty ratio of the switch. This is nothing but M is the duty ratio, M times the VDC. So when the upper device conducts, this voltage VRA is M1 times VDC. When the lower device conducts, it is minus of M1 times VDC. So considering both the positive half cycle and negative half cycle, and uniform the duty ratio M1 equal to like this is derived. Therefore, the VRA potential of the VRA potential, when the upper device is on, the other 2 phases will serve as a return phases, and against those switching duty ratios are also considered here. Therefore, for the 3 phases, the 3 dynamic equations are written here, and it is also understood that this capacitor voltage C dVc by dt, writing the KCL here, this IA plus IB plus IG plus equal to C dVc by dt. And there is also current that is being delivered to the load, it is V0 by R. It is now V naught by R. It is equal modeled as IL. So we have 3 energy storing elements and 1 capacitor, and we have just modeled 4 state equations for the 4 energy storing elements. So this modeling will helpful to perform the mathematical analysis of the converter. Okay, these are the modes of operation of the rectifier for one phase when the power flow from AC to DC. As I was mentioning, this is just illustrated for the A phase. During the positive half cycle, current leaves the A phase, goes via D1 and returns via the other two phases. And during the negative half cycle, I think it's a half cycle is returned wrong. It's okay. And sorry, correctly. During the positive half cycle, when the current leaves, it returns via the other two phases. And when during the freewheeling action, when the switch is when the load gets disconnected, during the freewheeling action, or when S4 is on, the current leaves via S4 and returns via the other two phases. Okay. So when the switch S4, when the bottom device is on, energy is stored in the inductor. When the bottom device S4 is on, energy is stored in the inductor. And when the switch is opened, energy is returned to the load. Via D1. So this, you are going to do the power transfer in the positive half cycle by doing the pulse width modulation on switch S4. By opening and closing the switch S4, the power flow to the load can be controlled during the positive half cycle. Similarly, during the negative half cycle, similar operations. Okay, when the switch S1 is closed, energy is stored in the inductor. Now the current flow is in the opposite direction. But anyhow, energy stored in the inductor is half Li square. Energy is always a positive quantity. Okay, energy is stored in the inductor. Again, when the switch S1 is opened, energy is returned. The power flow is returned to the load. So during the positive half cycle, we will be doing the PWM operation. We are going to open and close the switch S4. And during the negative half cycle, we are going to do the PWM pulse width modulation of switch S1. Okay, now it essentially decides values, how to decide the values of the inductor and the capacitor. So for that, some design equations I have given. So del IL, the change in current, is 20%. This is a ratio that I am assuming. 20% of the maximum power to be transferred divided by the minimum grid voltage, from which let us find out. I am finding the value of the inductor L. So, and also, if you look at the value of the capacitance C, it is based upon the energy stored. If you look at the output capacitance C, the selection of the capacitor C is made such that even if there is a single cycle loss in the supply, one cycle time is approximately 20 millisecond or half cycle loss. Even if there is an interruption for half cycle or one cycle, still the capacitor, during even that small interval of time, the capacitor can provide power to the load. So that interruption the capacitor can mitigate. So that's why there is something called a T hold. So the T hold, so if you are going to have a higher hold on time, one cycle time or 2 cycles time or half cycle time, accordingly the value of the capacitance will get altered. Here I have taken a holding time of 15 milliseconds. Okay. So it is based upon the this is also related to the energy stored, because on the right hand side we have half CD into VDC square. If we rearrange the equation and see on the energy stored in the capacitance and the energy to be delivered P naught max into T hold. Okay, we are comparing the energy and we are finding. So from which we are finding the value of the capacitance. So for the simulation studies, these are some of the parameters we have used to verify the working principle in the laboratory scale. So that's why I have considered low voltage values, 10 volts, 30 volts like that. And for that system, I have the values using the equations 2.5 and 2.6, the values of L and C are derived. Now, if I want to do the power transfer from the AC end to the DC end, I'll just verify whether I have the loop. I'll come to the slide afterwards. So just look into the control scheme. This is the overall control scheme. So this is a supply voltage. This L and R are nothing but inductance to enable the boost operation of the PWM voltage source converter, and R is a very small resistance associated with the inductor. So this operation of the converter we have seen earlier. Okay, this line we already know. Now the objective of the control scheme is we need to regulate the output voltage despite the variations in the load. So in order to achieve the load voltage regulation, we are employing a voltage control loop. So we are measuring the reference voltage. We are measuring the actual voltage. It has been compared with the reference voltage. The error voltage is processed by the PI controller. The output of the PI controller represents a loss component. It is a watt. The P loss, it represents a watt component. The meaning of this is, if there is a slight deviation in the load, either increase or decrease. In that case, it represents an error is created, which means that additional power is required, or power is being less power is required than the previous operation. Therefore, in both the cases, we need to adjust the voltage, and hence the output of the voltage controller is considered as a loss component. How much additional, the P loss may be positive or negative. So what is the power, additional power, or the power to be reduced? How much portion of the power we need to get reduced? Therefore, P loss represents a correction. How much power at the output side we need to reduce or to get increased. So it is a watt component. So that watt component is given as an information to another block called a reference current calculator. Okay, so once the output voltage equals a reference voltage, this loop will be effective only during the load change condition. So once when the voltage gets settled, when the voltage loop is working correctly, then P loss, we don't require additional power. P loss will be L0. Okay, so this P loss component is given to a reference current calculator. Let us look into this reference current calculator block, so which is shown on the other side. Okay, the reference current calculator block measures. So the objective of the control scheme is we need to regulate the voltage on the DC end. I'll just come back in 2 minutes.
Ma'am, we can't able to get you, ma'am. Ma'am, we can't able to hear your voice, ma'am.
Madam, no voice.
Ma'am, we can't able to hear your voice, ma'am. Ma'am?
One second.
Professor Uma, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, we can't able to get your voice, ma'am.
One sec. I think
Okay.
Okay, now is it clear?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Now we'll go into the reference current calculator block. So the overall idea of the control scheme is we need to regulate the output voltage as well as we need to shape the current on the input side. So the PWM DSC transfers the power from the available from the grid into the load at unity power factor. So in order to adjust, at the same time, the load voltage also has to be regulated. Two objectives are there. So the voltage loop already I have explained. Now the output of the voltage loop, normally it will be a PI controller loop. So the voltage controller, if I say inside the voltage controller loop, we have a proportional integral controller. The proportional action dictates the speed of response. The integral action takes care of the steady state error. It will eliminate the steady state error. Okay. Now coming to the reference current calculator, the objective is it has to shape the source current. Okay. So whatever the current we are going to draw, it has to be in phase or at the default or at the set value of the power factor angle. So in order to do that, a very simple measurement based control scheme, instantaneous measurement of the voltages are made. So instantaneous voltages and currents are made. So I will come to the block before, let us revisit the previous slide. So the reference current calculator block calculates the current this way. This is the reference current. This is the current we are going to draw. This should be the current we should draw from the grid. So this ensures the time synchronization as well as the power factor correction on the AC end. So all these are lower case variables, lower case instantaneous current. This instantaneous current is a function of instantaneous grid voltages and the instantaneous grid voltages ABC. And if you look at this component is nothing but a voltage V by V. So this P by V. So totally numerator is voltage, denominator is a square of the voltage. Therefore P divided P into, this is essentially a voltage ratio. PL plus P loss divided by this VGA square plus VG like that. Okay. So there is a derivation for this. I am just using the final derived equations only. So how these derived equations are derived, it's available in almost in all the IEEE papers. Numerous methods are there for the reference current generation. I have taken one such technique. Okay. So instantaneous current is generated by measuring the instantaneous voltages. Already this P loss component is coming from the output of the PI controller. So this PL stands for the load power. The load power can be measured either on the source side. All the power converters work under the principle that the input power equal to output power. Therefore, if I say PL is a load power. The load power can be measured either in the load end or in the supply end. Okay. So using this information, using the instantaneous voltages and the amount of power to be supplied to the load, you can measure you can find out what are the instantaneous grid currents. Here there is also one component called beta. Beta equal to tan phi by root 3. So only a factor. Here phi represents the power factor angle. So sometimes always it may not be economical to operate the supply at unity power factor. Therefore, sometimes instead of operating at unity power factor, let us say I want to have an operator at 0.95 or 0.98. Okay, that case you can have the default firing angle. You can the default power factor angle. So this phi can be you can have the default phi. Either phi can be 0 or it can be 10 degrees or like that. So by which you can operate the system either at unity power factor or at a power factor less than 1. Either you can have a lagging power factor or a leading power factor. So just all are possible with this method. Okay. Now if you look at the BGA, BGB are the instantaneous source voltages. I mentioned about beta. P loss is nothing but the output from the PI controller. If we look into the PL, so in the load power, this is nothing but a watt component. This is a it has a unit of watt. Even though it is mentioned in the lower case, it is a watt component. So this is how this watt component is extracted. This watt component can be extracted either from the load power or from the source power. Here I am measuring, I am extracting from the source power. So let us multiply VGA, IGA, VGB, IGB. This is the instantaneous three-phase power. This instantaneous three-phase power, if there is a distortion in the source current, it will have P average and P loss. Okay, it has an average component and an oscillatory component. Therefore, after the computation of this the three capital lowercase p, you pass it into a low pass filter to get the average component. Okay. This is the, I'll repeat once again, VGA, IGA, VGB, IGB, VGC, ICC equal to P. This P equal to 3 VI cos phi only if the source is sinusoid and the load is a sinusoidal. Load draws a sinusoidal current, balanced sinusoidal current. Here, since a converter is connected between the source and the load, a rectifier operation is being carried out. The instantaneous P will have an average component and an oscillatory component. So, oscillatory component is not going to transfer any power. It is not going to do any useful work. The average power, the average component is going to do the useful work. Therefore, that is a watt component. In order to extract the average component, let us pass after this multiplication, you pass this through a low pass filter to extract the average component or the working component of the power. All these are shown here. Okay, this is the power extra VGA, IGA. This is not a convolution symbol, it is a multiplication symbol. So it is multiplied, and here you are getting instantaneous three-phase power. You pass it through a low pass filter so that you will get PL average. It is nothing but the working component of the power. So on the other end, I mentioned about the voltage loop, reference voltage minus the actual voltage. It is being processed by a voltage controller, normally a PI controller, and it is being, the output of the voltage controller is taken as a P loss. Now, both are watt component. P loss is also has a unit of watt. PL average has a unit of watt. Whereas instantaneous three-phase power, you should not use watt. Okay, the average component has a unit of watt. This is a working component. So PL average plus P loss, that we are going into this, that information we are going to take. And the equations, whatever the equations I have shown here, those equations I have implemented. Those equations are computed here. That's all. Okay. Those equations, whatever I have shown in the previous slide, and I have just shown the implementation path. That's all. From which we are getting IGA, reference grid currents for the three phases. So after getting the reference grid currents, we can compare with the actual grid currents. They are the asterisk, the currents marked with an asterisk symbol. They are the reference grid currents. Now you compare it with the actual grid currents and pass it through a hysteresis controller to generate the gating pulses for the three phases. It's very simple. Compare. It's like an on-off control technique. Reference current, whether the actual current follows the reference grid current or not. So you compare. When the error is positive, you turn on one action. When the error is negative, you do the opposite action. Okay. Now here in the hysteresis band, on the x-axis we have the error, on the y-axis we have the switching logic. Okay. The error information, when you compare both, the output of the comparison may be positive or negative. When it is positive, you turn on one action, perform one action. When it is negative, you turn on the other action. Like that, you do it independently for the three phases. Okay. So after this entire mathematical modeling of the system as well as reference current generation, all are done mathematically, and these blocks are developed in a MATLAB Simulink, and it has been simulated. So after the simulation, based upon the values whatever I have shown earlier, the system is converter system is simulated. Okay, first we have checked the rectifier mode of operation at unity power factor. The load is a resistive load. On the DC end, we have the resistive load, and the load is powered at unity power factor. So, on the first diagram shows that the currents drawn from the grid are sinusoid, and all of them are balanced. That's the first information we are getting. Okay. Now, if we look at the bottom, per phase, one of the phases, I have shown the A phase voltage. A phase voltage, and the red color indicates the A phase current. If we expand and see, the A phase current follows the A phase voltage at unity power factor. A phase current follows the A phase voltage at unity power factor. So on the left, on the right hand side, these are the simulated waveforms. On the right hand side, we have the experimentally observed waveforms. So there is a slight smoothness here, owing to the switching frequency, here you can have a higher switching frequency in the simulation. Here, owing to the device limitation, the switching frequency has been reduced, and hence we can see some undulations in the waveforms. So here also, anyhow, the experimental waveforms are found to be in close correlation with the simulated waveforms, and power is transferred from the AC end to the DC end at unity power factor. Here, this is on the grid side, on the current side. If we look at the load side, if I do the load voltage variation, the blue color indicates that even though if I vary the load voltage, the blue color, the load voltage remains constant. And if we look at the current, the green color, the compressed form of the source current. When I switch over from 60 ohms to 50 ohms, I am drawing higher current. So I can see an increase in the current. When I switch over from 50 to 40, again you can see the increase in the current. So this green waveform indicates the three-phase currents on the AC end. And even if I do the load variation, the load voltage remains constant. And the change in load is is seen as an increase or decrease in the current on the source side. Okay, so now this is the experimentally simulated waveforms. On the right hand side, we have the experimentally observed waveforms. So it's possible to obtain that is a one-to-one match between the simulated and experimental waveforms. So this operation is possible from ACN to the DCN. Okay. Another measure of performance measure is the total harmonic distortion. The total harmonic distortion on the independent phases, the total harmonic distortion of the current drawn from the independent, the three phases are also shown here, and the values are very, very less. So you can say that the system operates at unity power factor. Okay. Next, as I mentioned here, it is also possible to operate at a preset power factor. Okay, I have just taken a power factor of 15 degrees to illustrate the waveform, to illustrate the idea. You can also do it at 15 degrees. You can also have it at 90 degrees. 90 degrees means you can make the VSC to act as a pure inductor. You can as minus 90 degrees as a pure capacitor. So all are possible. VSC is a 4-quadrant converter. You can operate in any one of the quadrants. So that's why here I have taken a preset power factor of 15 degrees. So that's what illustrated in the waveforms. Here you can see that the current, the source current lags the source voltage by few degrees. It is nothing but 15 degrees. The same is observed in the experimental domain. Again, with the preset power factor also, it is possible to regulate the load voltage, that is shown here. And the harmonic currents and the TH3 of the source current under different load conditions. Again, with a leading power factor, with the if I say phi equal to minus 15 degrees, it is also possible to make the current to lead the voltage by few degrees. So you can see that the current leads the voltage. The same thing is it is not observed exactly, but you can see that if you look at this part, the zero crossing of the current takes place little bit earlier than the zero crossing of the current. This is the experimental part. So 4-quadrant operation is possible. That's what I have illustrated. And again, for leading power factor, the converter works for step load variations. It is able to regulate the output voltage. In for the inverter mode of operation, if we connect some active load instead of a resistive load, if we connect an active load on the DC end, then the power available also from the VSC part, it's a 4-quadrant converter, or if I say when the power flows from AC end to the DC end, it is going to act as a boost converter. Again, when the power flows from the DC end to the AC end, the converter is being analogous to a buck converter. Therefore, if I connect an active load, on the DC end, then power flows from the DC end to the AC end. Now, in the reference current generation block, you can use PL, whatever the power PL I have mentioned in the previous slide. Instead of positive power, you can use negative power for the reference current generation, because it's an indication. It's a convention. We all know that when the power direction is reversed, we used to use a minus sign in the calculation part. The same thing. So instead of plus PL, we use minus PL when you do the inversion operation. So like that, the reference currents are calculated. Here also you can see that this is a source voltage and current is transferred. Current drawn from the grid is exactly out of phase. So if we calculate the 3-phase power, it is 3 VI cos phi. The currents are balanced. It is 3 VI cos phi. Phi equal to minus 1. Phi equal to 180 here. Okay. Cos 180 is minus 1. Cos 0 is 1. Cos 180 is minus 1. It indicates that the total power transferred into the grid is negative, and which means that power goes from the DC end to the AC end. So we can see that for different power factors, for the different default firing angles, default power factor angles, you can calculate. You can do the load variation and you can calculate the performance parameters. Okay. So this is about the first part is about it's about the PWM voltage source inverter. To conclude, the PWM voltage source inverter can work as a rectifier, transferring power from AC to DC. While doing that, it can do the power transfer either at 0 degrees, either at unity power factor or at a preset power factor, which may be lagging or leading. This is the first point. Second, during the power transfer from AC end to the DC end, it is going to perform the boost operation, meaning which the output voltage will always be greater than the peak of the line voltage. Okay, so it is going to visualize a boost, analogous to a boost converter. During the other part, if you are going to connect active loads on the DC end, then the power can be transferred from the DC end to the AC end. So during this process, VSC will act as a buck converter. VSC will act as a buck converter from the DC, viewed from the DC end to the AC end. So like this, again, anything we can this is two operations I have illustrated, but in effect you can have phi equal to 90 degrees or phi equal to minus 90 degrees, making the converter to work, making the VSC to work either as a pure inductor or a controllable inductor or a controllable capacitor. That is also so that operation will be helpful for doing the STATCOM studies. Okay, this is the essence. So the core idea that we are going to use in the second part is the PWM VSC can transfer the power from AC to DC or DC to AC. That is the idea. Okay, next is an interesting topic. This idea, whatever the idea we have just learned from this, let us apply it for the other part. So we are going to have a hybrid system. We are going to have a wind energy conversion system as well as a DC-DC converter system, a solar power converter. How we are going to transfer power, or how we are going to extract power from both the sources using a single converter, and how the extracted power is transferred into the grid. This is a system description. We can see that this is a permanent magnetic synchronous generator. It is a variable frequency, variable voltage system for extracting the mechanical power associated with the wind, a permanent magnet generator you can employ. You can also employ a induction generator in an islanded mode. Any one islanded induction generator is also in an islanded mode. It works the variable frequency, variable voltage. Okay, so now I have used this. First part let me explain, then one by one we'll look. So this I am just using a voltage source converter for the sake of understanding. It has been just described as wind side converter. Okay. There is also one more converter called another VSC I am going to use. In order to differentiate from that, this converter is called as a wind side converter. Okay. If we look at this part, the permanent magnet synchronous generator is a variable frequency, variable voltage machine. So based upon the wind velocity, as the wind velocity changes, the generated RMS voltage at the stator terminals will vary, and the frequency of the generated voltage will also change. Okay. In order to condition this, we are employing a wind side converter. Okay. And the output of the capacitor or the output of the wind side converter is connected to a capacitor. First, let us see into this path, then I will come to the solar array. Okay. And if we look into the GSC and the AC grid, it can be lumped as a resistor by this system, meaning which the AC power is converted into DC power. This DC power is transferred into the AC grid via the grid side converter. This is the idea. Okay. So for the sake of analysis, the entire GSC and the AC grid can be lumped and can be seen as a resistive load by the PMSG. So this part already we have seen in the just now. The variable voltage, if you look at this B123, the variable voltage generated by the PMSG, they are used in the whatever the grid voltages we have used in the first part. Instead of the grid voltages, the variable frequency, variable voltages of the permanent magnet generator are used in the reference current calculation part. That's the first point. Second, we are using a renewable power to extract the renewable maximum power from the renewables. A maximum MPPT algorithm is also used. Okay. So this MPPT algorithm, depending upon that, I will explain that in the subsequent slides how the MPPT was being done. So an MPPT algorithm was being accommodated. Okay. So this maximum power and the loss power both are used for the calculation of the reference current. So first part is permanent magnet synchronous generator transferring the AC power, variable frequency, variable voltage power into the DC end. The control is done via the WSC, wind side converter, which is essentially a voltage source converter. So the control algorithm, earlier, whatever we have seen earlier in the first part, the same algorithm is incorporated. Only difference is the maximum, instead of calculating the actual power, we are calculating the maximum power. We are employing maximum power point algorithm. That part we are using in the power calculation block. Otherwise, the reference current idea is same as whatever we have discussed in the first part. This is the first one. Second, in the DC end, if you look at the DC, link, normally if we connect a solar array, in many of the papers, the solar array is connected via a DC-DC converter to the DC link. So in order to eliminate the use of one more converter, what we have proposed is the solar array is directly connected to the DC link. Of course, the voltage, the number of panels to be connected in series, that the voltage level of the solar array has to be matched with the DC link voltage. That is very important. Accordingly, you need to have that number of cells in series to match the DC link voltage. Okay. Now, if you look at the solar array, just we have connected a solar array, the only point that has been taken into account is the cells, the open circuit voltage of the VPV, open circuit voltage of the solar array has to be matched with the DC link voltage of the WSC converter. That point one has to be. Okay, then you go. Now, to extract maximum power from the solar array, a simple perturb and observe power point algorithm, maximum power point extraction algorithm is used. So, from the using this MPPT perturb and observe, the VPV reference, reference DC link voltage was generated. In the former case, we have set the DC link voltage. Manually, the DC link voltage was set. Here, in order to integrate a solar directly into the DC link, the DC link voltage was set by the solar array, because under varying irradiation conditions, open circuit voltage of the solar array will change, and hence during that conditions, the VPV reference will also dynamically change. Okay, if we look at the control from the control aspect, the first part of the section, we have regulated the DC link voltage. We have set the reference DC voltage, VPV reference, and we have regulated the DC link voltage. Here, the VPV reference will adapt. Here, the reference voltage will change according to the reference voltage is dictated by the solar array. So this is that problem was viewed as a regulatory problem. This control problem is viewed as a servo problem. Here, whenever the solar irradiation changes, VPV reference will also change, and dynamically the system, the set point, it is equivalent to the set point variation. So the solar array dynamically changes the set point. So the control from the control aspect, this problem can be viewed as a servo problem. Earlier it was viewed as a regulatory problem. Now this is viewed as a servo problem. So that's that point also you have that the line marked in the red color. So this is a servo control. So VPV reference is dictated by the solar. That's all. So this, any doubt? Shall I proceed?
Participants, if you have any doubt, you can ask now.
Anyhow, I will come to the, because somebody has some interruption I have observed. Okay, shall I proceed?
Yes, ma'am, you can proceed, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, so in the first part for the WSC, the reference DC link voltage, the reference DC voltage is set by the solar array, and the regarding the reference current generation for the PMSG, the MPPT algorithm for the PMSG was done, and based upon these two information, the reference currents for the PMSG are generated. Reference currents for the WSC converter are generated. Here, we are going to operate the WSC converter only at unity power factor, because the idea is we are going to draw the current. We are going to draw the current from the stator terminals of the PMSC, so that currents will be in phase with the stator voltages. The idea is if the currents are in phase with the stator voltages, whatever the power generated by the PMSC will be completely made available on the DC end. So if we are instead, in some of the earlier textbooks, if you see, WSC PMSC will be connected to a diode bridge rectifier, followed by a DC-DC converter, then an inverter. Only this link you could have seen in the standard textbooks. So instead of 3 different converters, here we are using only one converter. This converter extracts, it is seen that if you employ a diode bridge rectifier, fifth and seventh harmonics will be there in the stator current. So these harmonic currents will introduce spark pulsations leading to negative sequence components. It will reduce the power transferred to the output side. So all these are those problems are avoided by the WSC. So the WSC converter is operated in such a way that it draws the current. The stator currents are made to follow the stator voltage, so that power, whatever the power generated available on the stator is completely made available on the DC end. Therefore, maximum power utilization is being achieved by this method. Okay. Now coming to the now I have not mentioned anything about the maximum, even though I have used the MPPT for the solar, the maximum power from the solar we have not yet used. Okay. So from the MPPT, the open circuit voltage corresponding to the maximum power point alone we have taken. That voltage is set as a reference voltage for the DC loop. That's all. Okay. Now we have two powers available. One is the maximum power from the permanent magnet generator or the wind converter. From the wind power system. Maximum power from the solar. That is also maximum power from the solar. These two powers, the idea of this integrated system is both the powers are to be transferred into the grid. On the other end, you can see that there is a grid. So both the powers are to be transferred into the grid. And if you look into the grid, you can also connect some loads on the grid. You can see some loads are also. This is only an expansion of the idea. Whatever I have told, you need not follow. Whatever I have done, I am just explaining. Okay. So some combination of linear and non-linear loads are present in the grid. So now the role of GSC. Now DC power is available. Now DC power of the solar and the DC on the PMSC. The maximum power from the PMSC that is available in the DC form is available now. Okay. Now both the maximum powers are to be transferred into the grid using the grid side converter. Now the core idea of the grid side converter is it is serving as an interface between the renewables and to the grid. Now if you look at GSC, forget about all these things. If you look at GSC and the grid, and if you see that active loads are being connected on the input end, which is nothing but the inverter operation of the inverter operation of the VSC we have seen in the previous part. Okay, what we have seen in the previous part, the inverter can the voltage source converter can also be made to work as an inverter. If active loads are connected in the DC end, power can be transferred from the DC end to the AC end. That's what we have seen. Now, forget about all the diagrams. Now, visualize GSC and the AC grid. Now, active loads. Now, all these are being lumped, and you can see that an active loads are connected on the DC end. Now, control of the GSC is done in such a way, the GSC is going to transfer the power, whatever the power we are going to give as a command, that it is going to transfer into the grid. Okay. So, the GSC converter, the simple idea of the GSC converter is it has to transfer the power. It does not have to do the voltage loop because voltage regulation is taken care of by this portion. Therefore, it has to transfer only the maximum power. Therefore, the maximum power information from the PMSC and from the solar are added, and that maximum information alone is being given and to the GSC converter. And if you look at the if loads are connected on the linear and non-linear loads are also connected. If it is a linear load, first I'll talk about the linear load. If it is a linear load, linear passive load, then the power, whatever the generated power, the power available from the renewables, it can be delivered to the load. The remaining power can be transferred into the grid. That is one possibility. I'm talking about linear load. Okay. So suppose if the linear load requirement is higher than the renewable power requirement, then both the renewables and the grid put together it will supply the load. Okay, that one point. Suppose if there is no, suppose if all the loads are thrown off, then the available power can be transferred into the grid. That is about the linear load operation. If it is non-linear load, once if it is non-linear, the current drawn from the grid is non-sinusoid. To make it sinusoid, the GSC, apart from matching the power requirements, it will also supply the VAR requirements of the non-linear load. That is the idea. So GSC, instead of taking the reactive VAR, when the load becomes non-sinusoid, when the load is a non-linear load, it means that it is going to draw reactive VAR from the grid. Instead of drawing the reactive VAR from the grid, the reactive VAR, which is a non-active, which is a wattless component, it can be generated by the converter itself. That's the idea. Okay. After generating the reference currents, compare with the actual currents, and using a hysteresis controller, the gating of the converter can be made. This is a simple idea. The specifications considered for the simulation study are shown in this table 1. Anyhow, the PowerPoint madam will be sharing. You can go through that. So here, the wind side converter is going to process only the PMSG power. But whereas if you look into the GSC converter, grid side converter, it is going to process both the wind power as well as the solar power. Therefore, it has to be sized. The sizing of the GSC converter has to be made appropriately compared to the wind side converter. Coming to the maximum power point track for the MPPT for the wind, we are going to the maximum powers. I'll just go to the last slide and come back. So this is the, if you look at the graph available on the right hand side, on the x-axis we have the turbine speed, on the y-axis we have the power. If you look at that, as the wind speed varies, for each wind velocity, that is the maximum power point. When the wind velocity is 5 meters per second, this is the maximum power. For 6.3 milliseconds, this is the maximum power. This is the maximum power. So when the wind velocity changes, the maximum power for different wind velocities will also change. Okay. So considering all the, sorry, I just went to the other direction. So considering the maximum power points for the different wind velocities. So for the wind velocity of 5 meters per second, what is the maximum power? For 6 meters per second, what is the maximum power? Like that, on the independent variable being wind velocity, the dependent variable being power. So you can form using this data, you can do the curve fitting operation, and the curve fit formula is given here. Okay, so for the chosen generator, form a table in such a way that you have for this wind velocity what is the maximum power. You create the table. From the table, you form using regression methods. You form some curve fit or using some curve fitting technique. You form this Pmax. Also, this Pmax is dependent only on wind velocity. So if wind velocity is 5 meters per second, it will give the maximum power. If wind velocity is 6 meters per second, it will give the corresponding maximum power. So this equation is directly being used. So this is the MPPT, simple MPPT idea. There are numerous techniques available in the literature. This idea has been used by me. Okay, so this is a mechanically available power. This is a mechanical power. So it is converted into this power is being processed via the generator. Considering an efficiency of around 0.85 or 0.9 for the generator, the electrically generated power is eta times Pmax. That's all. So again, for this is how the electrical power, maximum power of the permanent magnet generator is being calculated. For the MPP, for the maximum power of the solar, we are using the perturb and observe method. That's all. Okay, the design of the WSC converter is similar to the voltage source converter I have explained in the previous part. Only thing is this calculation of L remains the same, but if you look at the capacitance calculation, this capacitor is a common to both wind and the output of the rectifier, as well as it is coming across the solar. Therefore, it has to process the total power to be processed by the capacitor is the wind power as well as the solar power. That's why it's been taken that 100 T times. That's the idea we have performed. The design of the grid side converter is, the grid side converter has to process both the wind power and as well as the solar power. That's why it has to be sized higher than the rating of the L of GSC converter will be higher than the L of the WSC converter. So the sizing of the grid side converter is decided by the following factors: maximum VA to be processed, based upon the maximum VA to be processed or the maximum power to be processed. So why I have written VA means during the nonlinear load, when the nonlinear loads are connected, so it has to generate the VAR, both the reactive VAR as well as the distortion VAR. So that's why instead of giving the rating of the GSE in watts or in kilowatts, it has been represented as the VA. What is the total VA to be processed by the GSE converter? That based upon the load demand and the inverter efficiency. So generally you will have a factor of safety. So from this calculation, you can have a factor of, using a thumb rule, you can have 1.5 or 3 times you can have a factor of safety, and you can do the selection of the devices. Okay, I'll just skip this all. Okay, now I have used the mathematical model of the before proceeding with the simulation experimental part. Let us do the performance predetermination of the system. For that, the GSC, the mathematical model of the permanent magnet generator and the mathematical model of the converter, GSC wind-side converter are being done. So using the DQ analysis, the model of the machine as well as the model of the converter are developed. Both are connected and the connected system is simulated. Okay, simulated for performance predetermination. Okay, now we'll look into the mathematical model of the grid side converter. The grid side converter, the role of the grid side converter is it has to transfer the power only to the grid. It need not do voltage loop and all. Okay, therefore the power information, the maximum power information, the power information from the wind, power information, the maximum power information from the wind, the maximum power information from the solar, and if the loads are connected, put together the watt component needed for the loads, this PNL. So this is the total power information. So whatever the expression I used in the first part of the reference current block, the same expression is shown here. That's all. So instead of ABC, I have used different subscripts X, Y, Z, and the power to be processed is different. In this case, the power to be processed is different, and otherwise, whatever the expressions I discussed earlier, the same expressions are available. Okay. Okay. Now, based upon the power to be processed, we have the voltage loops are designed. The voltage loop, as I mentioned earlier, when the power is transferred by the wind-side converter from the ACN to the DCN, it is essentially a boost converter. Therefore, the expression to design the voltage loop, the expression for the boost converter being used, and using this, the PI controller, the coefficients of the PI controller are being arrived at. Let us see the different case studies. Case 1. Now we have seen, now we have a system where we are integrating wind power and solar power into the grid, and the power is transferred into the grid at UPF, irrespective of the linear or non-linear loads connected at the grid. Okay. Now the case 1, it is both wind power and the solar power, both are available, and when both are available, the GSC converter, reference currents for the grid side converter, they are generated like this, and loads and the non-linear loads are also available. So they are the grid side voltages, and the wind power and the solar power are available, and this is the non-linear power. And we need not include P loss here, even though I have shown here, we need not include P loss here. Okay, it's how the reference currents for the WSC grid side converter are being generated. Now, if you look at the simulation part, they are the generator voltages measured. Grid side generator voltages, generator currents, and if you look into the current drawn by the drawn from the generator, the current drawn by the from the generator, it follows the generator voltage. They are at unity power factor. So it means that we are going to utilize fully utilize the generator. Whatever the VA generated by generated by the PMSG will be converted exactly into watt. That's the idea. Okay. So the currents are found to be in phase with the voltage, and the DC link voltage is found to be well regulated. Now we have wind power and the solar power. So this red color is the PV power, and the blue color is the wind power. Both are available. If you look into the PV curve of the solar, this is the maximum power point. The maximum power is approximately equal to around 1200 watts. Approximately around 1300 or something, that much watts. So that's what it is also shown here, approximately 1365 watts. And the wind power is 1280 watts. Both wind power and solar power are available, and both the powers are to be transferred into the grid. Okay. Now, if you look at this, this is the grid side voltages, and they are the grid side currents. So the grid side currents, we are going to transfer the currents into the grid from the DC end of the GSC to the AC end. Therefore, it means it is analogous to the inversion operation. Therefore, they are the red color is the grid voltage and the green color is the current transferred into the grid. Therefore, here we are transferring current into the grid at unity power factor. Power is negative, but current is transferred at unity power factor. So now case 2. So only PMSC, there is no solar. So only PMSC is generating the power. So no solar power. So in that case, we are initially the wind is operating at 10 meter per second. It's a then we are going to 12 meter per second. Therefore, if we look at the grid side currents, there is a slight variation in the converter current. There is a slight increase in the stator current. So if we look into the plots of the RMS currents, earlier it was 7.5 ampere, now it has gone to 8.8 ampere. The power also has increased from 910 watts to 1280 watts. Okay. Now, if this power we are going to transfer into the grid. So if you look at the AC grid voltages, they are constant. Whereas if you look at the grid currents, when the wind speed was 10 meter per second, this is the current. Now when it goes to 12 meter per second, the current transferred into the grid is also high. So the RMS current plots are shown here. You can see that earlier it was 4.6 ampere. Now it has gone to 6.5 ampere. This is about the grid side converter. So PV power remains the same. PV power is 0. And if you look at the DC link voltage, the DC link voltage is also well regulated at 80 volts. So case 3, only solar is generating the power. Only PV is generating the power. Wind is absent. So in that case, your DC link voltage will keep on changing. That is not at all a matter. So even if the DC link voltage changes, let us say initially we have 240 volts, next we have 241 volts. Even if there is a large variation in the solar irradiation, if you look at the DC link voltage, the DC link voltage may vary only by few volts. Only 3 or maximum variation can be 3 to 4 volts. That's all. That's what it is shown here. So here, when initially the power was around 1.06 watts. Now when the irradiation has gone to the 1000 watt per meter, it has gone to 1365 watts. This is the grid side converter current, and the RMS current of the grid also is shown here. So when there is a change in the solar irradiation, the current transferred into the grid also changes, shows a proportional change. Next to 4. Validation case 4, it's only the STATCOM operation. Now both solar and PV are absent. In that case, the STATCOM, only the renewable power becomes 0. So if the renewable power becomes 0, the DC link voltage control is done by the GSC converter. We have to set a default voltage for the DC link. Therefore, GSC converter only as a STATCOM, only during the STATCOM operation, it performs a voltage regulation and it maintains a power factor at the grid. Okay, which means that nonlinear loads are connected, but no power is transferred into the grid. Therefore, they are the grid voltages and the grid currents, and the power is drawn from the grid. So it is shown that current is drawn in phase with the voltage. So case 4, let me repeat once again. Case 4 is a STATCOM operation. During this case, both the renewable powers are 0. Okay, if the during night time when solar is absent and when the wind velocity is very less, in that case you cannot have you can cut both the renewables, and you can reconfigure the system in such a way that the DC link voltage can be manually set. The DC link voltage can be manually set, uh, and the converter and the GSC converter can be made to work as a STATCOM. So the what is STATCOM? It will take care of the VAR requirement of the loads connected on the AC end. That's all. So when the converter takes care of the VAR requirements of the AC load, the source or the grid has to supply only the active power. So this ensures UPF operation on the grid side. That's what it is shown here. Okay. So grid voltage, the grid current, and the DC link voltage was the DC link voltage regulation was done by the GSC converter during this mode, and power is taken from the grid and supplied to the load. So this since the converter is working as a STATCOM, the current drawn from the grid is made to follow the voltage, and UPF operation is maintained at the supply end. Okay. And here also DC link voltage is maintained closer to 230 volts. This regulation is done by the GSC converter. So this is a case. So here case 4, GSC voltage and grid side current. Here in phase operation, here the third diagram shows that earlier I have shown as a STATCOM only. Now here renewables are there, and suppose if nonlinear load is also connected, then if the nonlinear load power requirement is going to be less than the renewable power generated, then the remaining power can be transferred into the grid. So here the converter works as a STATCOM, as well as it does the active power transfer to the grid. And here in the second component, suppose if the renewable power is less than the load power, less than the nonlinear load power, the excess power, the power required for the load will be taken from the grid. And in both the cases, whether it is power is supplied to the grid or it is taken from the grid operates at unity power factor, and it ensures power factor closer to 1. Maintaining a power factor closer to 1 ensures effective utilization of the grid. Or it is making the grid towards a greener side. That's the idea. So all these things are also verified experimentally. The experimentally observed waveforms are also shown here. And if you look at that, the VA processed by the different converters under different modes. In the first case, when both wind and solar are both are present, the VA processed by the grid side converter is around 270. It is around 2384 VA, and the currents, instantaneous grid currents, it's around 12.85 for both the cases, and only PV and only wind, absence of wind and PV, like that. You have just obtained the maximum VA processor by the grid side converters under different cases. This is a simple case study, simple but an effective case study we have attempted in the lab to ensure unity power factor on the grid. So always maintaining the power factor closer to unity will enhance line utilization, and the VSC will also work as a reactive or a generator. So whenever we are going to connect nonlinear loads on the AC end, in order to the nonlinear loads draw nonlinear VAR from the grid. So the nonlinear VAR is not going to do any useful work. Instead, it increases the volt ampere of the system. The when you calculate the power factor of the three-phase system under unbalanced or when it is supplying nonlinear loads, the power factor equal to power divided by 3 V phase into I phase. So the effect means whenever we connect nonlinear loads, if we are going to employ without power factor correction, the denominator of the power factor expression will get increased. For the same active power transfer, the effective volt, apparent volt amperes will get increased. So it leads to the decrease in the power factor. So the effective idea of introducing the VSC is the whatever the nonlinear reactive VAR needed for the nonlinear load or an unbalanced load will be generated by the converter. The nonlinear VAR is an oscillatory VAR. Okay, it is an oscillatory VAR. It is not. It will not do. It will not. It will not. It does not have any active power component. Okay, so it is not going to do the energy conversion. Therefore, this oscillatory VAR needed by the load will be generated by the converter. We have controlled the converter in such a way that a nonlinear VAR needed will be supplied by the converter. So the VAR needed by the converter, instead of taking from the source, it will be generated by the converter. By this way, the source is the source utilization becomes effective. Okay, and also it is ensured that the current drawn from the grid or current from utility end is always sinusoid and in phase with the corresponding voltages. This also ensures effective line utilization, and so that we are not going to pollute. We are not going to pollute the electrical lines. So all these are achieved by incorporating a power conditioner. That's what we have seen in the overall study. Okay, so the applications of VSC are quite wide. It is also used in the VSC, HVDC, transmission distribution of congested cities, offshore wind. I have just listed a few, but it is even if you use an electric vehicle, it can be used as for a three-phase charging. You can employ the same technique. Instead of having a capacitor, you can also connect a battery. So for battery, you can use a voltage constant current charging technique you can employ, or with voltage and current you can employ. So this is a simple few ideas only I got listed, but again the same VSC can be used as an active front end when you connect drives or when you connect electric vehicles. So the applications of VSC are numerous. So as a power converter, it is very simple, but the core idea of the process is how intelligently we are going to control the converter. That is very important. You can buy a three-phase converter from the market, but how to control the converter? Therefore, control idea is very important. Some idea about how the power flow happens and how the control idea is going to work out. So put together, it will lead to an effective system. So that idea we have verified in the lab. Okay. So if there are any doubts, you can ask.
Participants, now you can clarify your doubts with Madam. Madam is ready to share her knowledge. Sumit Chauhan, Madam. Participants.
Okay, Malti, it's afternoon class, but probably they may those.
No, ma'am. Actually, our participants are more interactive and they are asking the questions, ma'am. Participants, you can post your questions in chat box also.
No, even if it is a simple thing, don't worry. It's not about this thing. Please ask, even if it is a small doubt.
Ma'am, there is a question posted by Vijayalakshmi Saukar. Okay. She has asked, what is the duty cycle of the converter, ma'am?
No, it's a varying duty cycle. No, we are employing a hysteresis controller. The duty cycle will keep on changing. Once on reaching the steady state, the converter will operate at 50% duty ratio. I have mentioned about the hysteresis loop. the current controller. The current controller is a hysteresis controller. The hysteresis controller, it will operate under the variable frequency, and when there are variations, when there are load variations or supply variations, during the transient condition, the hysteresis controller will have a variable duty ratio. But once the once the error gets eliminated, the hysteresis controller will provide 50% duty ratio pulses.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any questions? Dear participants?
Ma'am, share us the PPT, ma'am.
Okay, it's already given to your coordinator.
We will
Fine.
post the. We will share your madam.
Yes. Okay,
Madam,
this
one more
point-
question, madam.
Okay.
One of the participant Ranu Naik have posted it. Without any boost converter, if solar array connected to grid, then how much DC link voltage is maintained?
How much? So if you are going to connect solar array directly to the grid, you need not bother about the DC link voltage. So you take the maximum power, from the maximum power, calculate the reference currents, and the grid side converter can be triggered based upon the reference currents.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
There are very simple things you can. They can. I have not told anything big, but this they can attempt in the lab, or they can do the simulation and they can verify. So this point, whatever I have discussed here, it's been published as a paper in IET Renewable Power Generation. You can browse under my name, Uma Govindarajan.
Okay, ma'am.
If you want, you can go through that IET Renewable Power Generation.
Okay, ma'am. One more question posted by Sandeep Kumar. Can we use fuzzy logic controller instead of PI? If yes, then what's the advantage?
No, fuzzy logic controller will take care of the non-linearities. So for the input to the fuzzy logic controller has to be error and derivative of the error. Okay. Now we are using a voltage loop and a current loop. Current loop incorporates a hysteresis controller, which is a robust controller. Suppose if we want to use a fuzzy controller, you have to take care of the voltage error, current error. In that way, you have to design. Simply replacing PI controller with a fuzzy controller is not a good idea.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Any more questions? Ma'am, I think no more questions.
Yes, please.
One of the participant asking your mail ID, ma'am.
You can share uma@annainu.edu. uma@annainu.edu.
MA?
uma@annainu@annainu.edu. You have department website. It's available in the department website. They can.
Yes, ma'am. One of our colleague has posted your mail ID, ma'am.
Okay.
I think if the question is not, shall we wind up, ma'am?
Okay, wait. Okay.
Okay,
Malati, I wish to thank Malati for giving me an opportunity. There are any doubts, portions, whatever I have covered so far, participants can feel free to mail me. You can also go through the paper under the same title, Effective Power Transfer Control Schemes and a Hybrid Microgrid. You can go, it's been published in the year 2017 or 18, I don't know, and IET Renewable Power Generation. Thanks for the opportunity, Malati.
Thank you, ma'am. Actually, I have to say much more thanks to you, ma'am. You have talked very much acutely to our topic. The topic is global warming, and the global warming can be controlled, reduced only by accessing the renewable energy. And you have posted very good discussions, right from saying about the mathematical model, how we have to select the correct controller, so that we can able to use the energy efficiently, right? Whether to access a solar or wind. Ma'am, thank you so much. You have said so many practical things that regarding the analysis, mathematical model, simulations. Very much your presentation is very much useful. I hope the participants would enjoy the session, and your information is would be very much useful for their research too, ma'am. Thank you for your valuable speech, ma'am. In spite of our EEE department and our ATL team, we pay your heartfelt thanks to you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Malati. Thank you. All the best to the participants and all the best for your the conduct of the program, Malati.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
I'm logging off.
Thanks, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.